بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا آمنت بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Salim Raza Naqvi Saab, batch of 1970, to please come and say the pledge with us. Thank you, sir.
According to the tenets of Islam, the true religion, to do my best and sacrifice my all for Pakistan, to do clean thinking and practice honest dealings, to be courageous and to know no fear when truth and right are in peril, to shrink from jealousy and to guard against flippancy and irreverence. Proud to be a Habibian. Proud to be a Habibian. Thank you.
Filling in for Asadullah, our usual host of the session. So now before we proceed, I'll request our President, Sayyid Allahwala Saab, to kindly bring the chief guest and guest of honor to the Food Limited. Books by Mr. Yusuf Ali, batch of 1973. Mr. Aslam Allahwala, soap from Mr. Aslam Allahwala. Nazim Bhai is the chairman of Alcan Private Limited, as well as Alupak Private Limited, aluminum product business, and is the vice president of Limbless Foundation, Pakistan. He is also trustee of the Zindagi Trust and Etamad Pakistan Trust. He is also co-chairperson of the Cancer Foundation and director of Sahil Welfare Association. Nazim Saab is also one of the founding members of Citizen Police Liaison Committee, CPLC, and he has received, mashallah, Sitara Jurrat in 1993 for his efforts as the chief of CPLC. Nazim bhai, I can go on for a whole day describing, and mashallah, you eloquently spoke about what we have done with it. So, floor aapka hai, the topic aapka hai. We all look forward to hearing from you, sir. Please, join us at the Tashreef laiye.
I would be fair to the audience to change the subject that was decided, but I think it should be decided by a consensus that since we are not our speaker who was invited, Dr. Kaisar Bengali, who was a specialist on the subject, sorry, हम हबीबियंस की बरादरी हैं तो कोई फॉर्मेलिटी की ज़रूरत नहीं हमें, लेकिन I think I need to thank you for honoring me and inviting me as your chief guest, although I hate this term chief guest. You know, I'm dead against the VIP culture, and but I'm honored that you've invited me and allowed me to share my views But before I proceed and we decide amongst ourselves what subject we need to discuss, we've stood up for the national anthem. We had a tilawat and we had a Habibian's pledge. If you can bear with me for 3 minutes, I would like to read out the first page of this Constitution of Pakistan. It's not going to be boring, it's very interesting. The Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan dated 12th April 1973. Whereas sovereignty over the entire universe belongs to Almighty Allah alone, and the authority to be exercised by the people of Pakistan, that is us, within the limits prescribed by Him is a sacred trust. And whereas it is the will of the people of Pakistan to establish an order, wherein the state shall exercise its powers and authority through the chosen representatives of the people, wherein the principles of democracy, freedom, equality, tolerance, and social justice, as enunciated by Islam, shall be fully observed, wherein the Muslims shall be enabled to order their lives in the individual and collective spheres in accordance with the teachings and requirements of Islam as set out in the Holy Quran and Sunnah, wherein adequate provision shall be made for the minorities to freely profess and practice their religions and develop their cultures, wherein the territories now included in or in accession with Pakistan and such other territories as may hereinafter be included in or accede to Pakistan shall form a federation, wherein the units will be autonomous with such boundaries and limitations on their powers and authority as may be prescribed, wherein shall be guaranteed fundamental rights, including equality of status, of opportunity and before law, social, economic and political justice, and freedom of thought, expression, belief, worship and association subject to law and public morality, wherein adequate provisions shall be made to safeguard the legitimate interests of minorities and backward and depressed classes, wherein the independence of the judiciary shall be fully secured, I repeat, and wherein the independence of the judiciary shall be fully secured, wherein the integrity of the territories of the Federation, its independence and all its rights, including its sovereign rights on land, sea and air, shall be safeguarded, so that the people of Pakistan may prosper and attain the rightful and honored place amongst the nations of the world and make their full contribution towards international peace and progress and happiness of humanity. Now, therefore, we, the people of Pakistan, conscious of our responsibility before Almighty Allah and men, cognizant of the sacrifices made by the people in the cause of Pakistan, faithful to the declaration made by the founder of Pakistan, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, that Pakistan would be a democratic state based on Islamic principles of social justice, dedicated to the preservation of democracy achieved by the unremitting struggle of the people against oppression and tyranny, inspired by the resolve to protect our national and political unity and solidarity by creating an egalitarian society through a new order, do hereby, through our representatives in the National Assembly, adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution. This is basically the document, what it says, and I think, I feel that the present, if you allow me, and if the panelists agree with me, if we can have an open discussion today on the constitutional crisis that Pakistan is going through. And I'll be very honest with you that since these last 2 years, what's been going on in Pakistan, it's never happened in the history of Pakistan. The kind of violations of the Constitution, the fundamental rights, freedom of expression, is gone to the lowest depth in our history. So now the question arises that what we as responsible citizens, as Habibians, and as per our pledge of the oath that we have taken to, I think, I don't remember the exact line, but it did mention Pakistan in that also. Do we live up to our oath, or do we also compromise on our oath, which a lot of our people in I'm not going to hesitate in naming it, the armed forces, they are violating their oath, so is the judiciary, so is the politicians, the political leaders. Now, if we also put ourselves in that category, कि ठीक है यार oath ले लिया तो क्या बड़ी, it was just a way of speech and that's it. So either we live in that situation of being hypocrites, or we come out. It's not necessary that you need to be violent but we do need to get together to protest in whatever way we think is possible. And I'll be very honest with you. I have some friends in UK also when we discuss the issue, because they look at Pakistan from the outside to the inside. And I keep on, they keep on expressing the concern that Nazim, आप लोग तो पाकिस्तान में बैठे हैं, आप लोगों को नज़र नहीं आता कि Pakistan is sliding out of our hands? So the feeling, of course, is there that I can see that what is happening in Balochistan, what's happened recently in KPK or in Parachinar, there is a serious problem that is confronting us. And it's about time we spoke very freely and openly amongst ourselves that how as Habibians can we do something to rectify the situation. I personally feel yes, we can, but थोड़ी सी हिम्मत पकड़नी पड़ेगी. And और मेरे ख्याल से अगर हम समझते हैं कि जो मसले हैं हमारे मुल्क में आजकल, उसको अगर हासिल करने के लिए और उसको रेक्टिफाई करने के लिए कुर्बानी के बगैर हो जाएगा, वो नहीं होगा. So we'll have to face the reality of the situation and try to. The problem today is not about Tahir or Azhar or Saeed or me. We worry about our families. That is the problem. That is the fear that is stopping us from doing things. It's gone that far. So with that, those few words and my honest feeling about the seriousness of the situation in Pakistan brings me to this, put it out to the floor. In fact, I'll request Tahir to give us some comments and take it to the floor, that if you people also can come up with some thoughts. Let's exchange thoughts first and then try to work out how do we move towards participating in the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Nazim Saab. It was an eye-opening for me when you read the first 2 pages. I've never read them myself, but I do understand. I had a general feeling, a general understanding what our constitution is all about. So it simply portrayed that. One thing which really struck me was that talks about the geographical boundaries, but does not talk about the ideological boundaries which people make so much about and say we are going to defend them. Anyway, that was just one comment on this constitution. But what you said is absolutely right. I've always believed that if we want to improve, it has to start with us, with myself. So if you feel, I would say, I'll give you one example before I go further. See, I'm one of those people who've got a solar system on the rooftop. So initially there were a lot of problems, but the government keeps changing the rate at which they want to buy or they want to sell or whatever. It always is against the interest of the consumer. So we formed a group. It's called probably you're also on it. So now the good thing about that group is that about 200 people in it only, 200, perhaps there are more than 200 now. I'm not aware, they may have crossed 200. But they think alike and they've got a pressure group. What they've done is they've contributed a small amount amongst ourselves, and that's more than enough. And probably we have top class lawyers on our panel, and whenever the government initiates some stupid idea, I would say stupid, we say, fine, we're going to take you to the court of law, and here's the petition. And they back off. So the thing is, when we decided that enough is enough, it was enough. The pressure group was enough to put, जैसे कहते हैं ना, कई के नुकैल डाल दी, नेपरा की नाक में नुकैल डाल दी, सिर्फ 200 आदमियों ने. हबीबी तो बहुत हैं, आप आगे बढ़े, I'm with you. Let's make a pressure group. Let's have a pressure group to start with. We should not think about it. We should not say कि अच्छा हम कल बनाएंगे, परसों बनाएंगे, आज बना लेते हैं. और उस pressure group में let everybody come in, whosoever wants to come in, and we are going to talk about these things, and we are going to have a say in whatever wrong is happening in the country. We should have the say. We have the right of freedom. Let's see what happens. But we have to take this step. We can't put it on somebody else. कि साहब आप कर लीजिए, हम तो पीछे बैठे हैं आराम से, ज़रा कहाँ देखेंगे कि क्या होता है. Let's do it. Let's make the pressure group today, and बिस्मिल्लाह जिसे कहते हैं, या जिंदा सोबत बाकी. Thank you. अब ज़रूर आप बताएं सईद, what you think.
So I want to thank Nazim Bhai and Tahir Aapka ke you on a very short notice accepted this second invitation to be part of the speakers group because we received early afternoon the message from Kaisar Bhai, Kaisar Bengali, that he was ill and he was hospitalized, तो वो आ नहीं सके. तो बहुत शुक्रिया आप सबका. और फिर साथ को जो अभी शुरू किया आपने. Now coming to the subject जो नाजिम भाई आपने स्टार्ट लिया है, मैं I will play devil's advocate here. मेरा ख्याल है कि जो कुछ आप कह रहे हैं वो तो सब कुछ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में लिखा हुआ है. वो कैसे कि एक जगह आपने कहा कि वो पढ़ के कि डेडिकेटेड टू द डेमोक्रेसी एंड फंडामेंटल राइट्स ऑफ द पीपल ऑफ पाकिस्तान. तो क्या गलती हो रही है? कोई गलती नहीं हो रही है. जो कुछ काम हुआ है वो डेमोक्रेसी के तहत हुआ है. अगर गवर्नमेंट चेंज हो रही है तो डेमोक्रेसी के तहत हो रही है. अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट हो रही है तो डेमोक्रेसी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के ही तहत हो रही है, पार्लियामेंट कर रही है. अगर बिल पास हो रहे हैं तो वो भी बिल जो पास हो रहे हैं पार्लियामेंट में, और अगर आपको लगता है कि अच्छे नहीं है, सो व्हाट. बट द डेमोक्रेसी की जो डेफिनेशन है हमें बताई गई है वो तो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ द पीपल, बाय द पीपल, फॉर द पीपल. सो दैट डेमोक्रेसी इज़ देयर बाय द पीपल. तो कहाँ गलती हो रही है? आपने आज हरी किताब ले आए आप, और मैं सोच रहा था कि कोई ऐसी बात करनी चाहिए जो उसमें दीवी तो है लेकिन उसके ख़िलाफ़ हो रहा हो. तो उसके ख़िलाफ़ मुझे ऐसा नहीं लगता है. हाँ, अब आप आ जाए अगर किसी और मौजू के ऊपर कि उस डेमोक्रेसी में जो क्वालिटी ऑफ पीपल है वो कौन है, वो कौन लोग आए हैं जिनको हमने बिठा दिया है और वो फिर ये फैसले करते हैं जो हमें पसंद नहीं है, और वो हमारे ह्यूमन राइट्स के ख़िलाफ़ भी जा रहे हैं. तो वो हमें मेरे ख्याल एक अलग बहस की जा सकती है. एंड लास्टली बहुत अच्छी बात ताहिर आपने कही, ये हमेशा हमारा होता है कि हम जो है ना तमाशाई हैं और हम नहीं कुछ कर सकते. हम तो बहुत ही कमज़ोर लोग हैं और हमारे पीछे तो हमारी फैमिली है, तो हमें कुछ हो गया तो क्या होगा, जैसे कि बाकी लोगों की फैमिली नहीं है. तो ये जो है एक हबीबियन का जो एक ग्रुप है, और ये बड़ी खुशनसीबी है हबीबियंस की कि एक इतना अच्छा क्राउड हबीब ने पैदा किया. एक्सेप्ट दैट पीरियड एक 10-15 साल का ऐसा गया, लेकिन हम पीछे जाएं तो हबीबियन कराची की एलीट थे. हबीबियन जो निकले वो एलीट बन गए. एलीट फैमिली से भी आ रहे थे, एंड नॉट ओनली एलीट इन द सेंस ऑफ कमिंग फ्रॉम रिच प्लीज, बट all were intelligent or were made intelligent in this school. लेकिन वो गायब है सारे. तो ये एक ख़ुद बहुत बड़ा काम हम लोगों का बन गया कि हम उन्हें जमा करें. कहाँ कहाँ पे वो लोग बैठे हुए हैं. अभी मैं नाम नहीं लेना चाहता, ये जो इतने बड़े बड़े सियासतदान इस वक्त हमारे बैठे हुए हैं उनमें से कितने सारे ऐसे हैं जो हबीबियन हैं और हमें शर्म आती है उनका नाम लेते. मैं अभी भी नाम नहीं ले रहा, इसलिए मुझे खुद शर्म आ रही है, तो फिर आपको भी शर्म आएगी. तो एक साथ इतने सारे लोग शर्माएंगे तो अच्छा नहीं लगेगा। तो ये है कि अब मैं आपको बस ये कहना चाह रहा था नाजिम भाई कि क्या चीज़ इस किताब के ख़िलाफ़ हो रही है, ये मेरा पहला सवाल है आपसे।
यार ठीक है, भाई साहब आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा कि जो चीज़ भी हुई है वो सब उस डेमोक्रेटिक वे में हुई है, लेकिन डेमोक्रेसी में ये कहाँ लिखा हुआ है कि एक भी दूसरा ग्रुप जो है जिसका इससे कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है पॉलिटिक्स से, वो इसको इस आड़ में लेके, डेमोक्रेसी की आड़ में लेके वो अपने वो जो उनके मकासद हैं उसको पूरा करे और वो करे जो कि वो चाहता है, जो कि एज अ होल ना आपका पाकिस्तानी चाहते हैं, नेशनल चाहते हैं, और इवन जो पॉलिटिशियंस हैं वो भी नहीं चाहते, लेकिन उनसे कहा जाता है, उन पर प्रेशर डाला जाता है, तो फिर वो इसको उन्हें करना पड़ता है, चाहे वो गवर्नमेंट चेंज हो या आइन चेंज हो, हमारा कुछ भी हो। थैंक यू।
सर मैं भी एक कमेंट देना चाहूँगा। 8 फरवरी को डेमोक्रेसी लोग निकले, लोगों ने वोट दिए। 9 फरवरी को उस डेमोक्रेसी का जो कत्ल हुआ, जो कत्ल आम हुआ, वो पाकिस्तान की हिस्ट्री में कभी नहीं हुआ। और वो जो हुआ वो इतना बुरा हुआ है कि आज जो हम पे मुसल्लत किए गए हैं, ये सिर्फ अपने फ़ायदे के लिए मुसल्लत किए गए हैं, ये आम आदमी के लिए मुसल्लत, आम आवाम के लिए नहीं आए हैं। और आम आवाम ने, उसके पास एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट है, हर हमारी आवाम के पास, हमारे पास, कि हम वोट डालें। सब ने जाके 8 फरवरी को वोट दिया और 9 फरवरी को क्या हुआ सबको मालूम है। इसके ऊपर जो है, वी डोंट हैव टू गो इनटू द डिटेल्स।
Answering my, giving me, saving me from the trouble of answering Said's devil advocacy. I was going to say the same thing. Said, in your own question, you had answered yourself. That when you were talking about democracy, ये सब आइन के मुताबिक हुआ है, जमहूरियत के मुताबिक हुआ है, you yourself came to the conclusion and hinting out that what happened on the 8th of February was not democratic at all. And we all know it. And Javed, with all due respect, अगर आप में courage नहीं, मैं उस इदारे का नाम लेने को तैयार हूँ, armed forces. Let's accept that reality. With all due respect, we need the army, we need a professional army, but we don't want an army which interferes in our political matters. Under their oath of office, they are not supposed to interfere in politics. Each and every officer who graduates from the PMA or from the Naval Academy or from the Air Force Academy, they are under oath. And the line very clearly says, and that I will not interfere in politics whatsoever, period. That is there in the oath. Now, if you want to accept a violation of oath and you just accept that you remain silent as lambs, so be it, then suffer. I mean, but you know, the problem is not us, Saeed. The problem is the Aam Aadmi, the suffering of the Aam Aadmi. All this propaganda which is coming out on our television channels, it is PTV plus 27 control channels. All of them are controlled. वहाँ जो आप देख रहे हैं कि inflation is down to 6% or whatever, but they don't give you the correct picture. 38% जो हो गया वो तो अपनी जगह पे है, उसके अलावा 6% और बढ़ा है. It's not going down. So they twist the statements and try to convince us that inflation has gone down. Has inflation gone down?
The prices haven't gone down. Inflation has gone down.
The prices will not go down because the base is higher. No? The base at 38%
Yes.
has formed the base.
That's
उसके
right.
ऊपर 6% हुआ है. So the rate has gone down, but the prices have not gone down. So this is the kind of false propaganda is taking place. But I think, you know, I really appreciate Tahir's suggestion that if we could form a serious pressure group like the ones he mentioned about the solar, it was only, that group was only talking about solar, nothing else but solar. It was not a nonsensical group that we keep on getting on WhatsApp, जिसको मर्जी आए वो forward करते जाए. If we can set up a serious group which can work by some rules and regulations, that we limit ourselves to constitutional democracy or if you want to talk about the independence of the judiciary, we can talk about that. And we can talk about reforms, civil service reforms or other things. But I think let's decide today that we can at least take up one subject and start working on it.
You have already done that. Why don't you talk about it and let people know and they can all join that group? You've already done it. You are the president of that group. It is a pressure group. I'm not the president of Habib Public Association. No, no. It's not Habib Public Association, but the pressure group that Taisa was talking about, you've already taken the initiative. The group has been formed. It is there and it has been formed for that very purpose. Other than that, I just would like to, if I can, comment because I am a non-Habibian. Saeed Bhai talked about the constitution. Saeed Bhai, you can't pick and choose your democracy. You can't pick up clauses in this constitution that suit you and work on them and ignore the others. In this very period that we're talking about, the last 2.5 years, you see the elections were not held. The constitution says that if the assembly is dissolved, the elections must be held within 90 days. They weren't held. So it was a violation of the constitution. First of the provincial assemblies, and then subsequently to that, of the National Assembly. You can't cherry pick your constitution and say, this is what suits us, let's say this is in accordance with the constitution, and this doesn't suit us, let's abrogate that, change that, and do whatever we like. And the biggest constitutional violation happened on the 9th of February when they annulled the elections of Pakistan. That was a complete annulment of the constitution. So when we say constitution is being followed, the government was sent packing in accordance with the constitution through a vote in the assembly, fine. It was engineered, but then strictly speaking, technically speaking, you can say it was in accordance with the constitution. But what about all other provisions that were completely violated? And they have now today made your judiciary totally ineffective. There is no judiciary in the country today. You have no recourse to any of your grievance that you may have. You just have no recourse. I mean, it was never functioning in the first place, but today by the clauses of the Constitution, even if there is a judge sitting there who wants to do something, he can't do it. Now, that kind of a democracy is not acceptable. See what happened in South Korea the other day. They imposed constitution which was in violation of the Constitution. The entire country came out. And the president had to reverse it within 6 hours. I mean, we have to be a country which is aware of our rights and demand our rights. We do not demand our rights. Leave alone those people who are actually unaware of their rights. And this organization that Mr. Nazim Haji is the president of has set out to spread awareness, tell people what their rights are. It won't happen overnight, but we at least, the kind of people who are sitting in this arena, should get onto the bandwagon and join that group and say, okay, yes, this is the pressure group we would like to join and pressurize the government in accordance with the Constitution. So I would, Nazim, would like you to talk to them about, because Tahir Sahab talked about creating the pressure group. You've already taken the initiative. It is there. We are working on it. We had our first town hall meeting just about 3-4 weeks ago. You were there? Your Habibian can tell you what happened there. And we talked about the violation of the Constitution, what is happening there. And those things need to replicate themselves on an ongoing basis. That is what will create, firstly, awareness among people, and then secondly, create pressure on the powers that be, that do these things, not to do it, because people are getting more and more aware. They're talking about it on a regular basis. We, the people who are in the limelight, elite, you shy away from talking about it. You even shy away from talking about it. The only place we talk are our living rooms or our drawing room. Outside that, nobody even wants to talk. I mingle with a lot of people, and most business people just don't want to talk about anything.
Everything is hunky-dory. No, 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 don't talk about it. Now, if this is the attitude, nothing is changing. We will have to, and they realize this very well. They realize it. You know, I can give you another example. The chief was here a few days ago. He called in all the business people. And I met a few of them afterwards. They were all praises for him, honestly. Right. If this is the direction our leaders of business take, there's little hope for people like me. I'm not a businessman. I was a corporate sector worker, retired now, and working for causes like these. Honestly, I've devoted my time to these things. Now, this is not going to work. आपने जो ताहिर साहब बात की है ना, उस पर अमल भी करना होगा. बात करने से कुछ नहीं होता, हम लोग सब बात करते हैं.
If I may, what we are discussing is a single point agenda of a very large political problem that exists and that has been existing since our inception. And I feel that the mere dissent is construed as treason right now, okay? Mere dissent from the power centers is construed as treason by them. The way things are happening nowadays. I'm not talking about that book. I'm talking about the real world. Okay, I'm not talking about that book. If that book was really implemented, then we wouldn't be having this discussion. I feel it is very good to form a pressure group. Fine, but in my humble opinion, it is good to work for something good, but one must be realistic and have achievable goals as well. I'm not an idealist, not an extremist, let's be realistic. There are multiple of things that we can be straight away effective in. ये जो एक रोड पे गढ़ा होता है, ये अमेरिकन के प्रेसिडेंट ने नहीं कहा कि इस रोड पे एक गढ़े को तारकोल डाल के मरम्मत नहीं करना. This is sheer bad governance. One day somebody comes and issues an SRO and obliterates maybe the whole soap industry or maybe the whole ghee industry or maybe the whole aluminium industry with just one SRO with billions and billions of dollars investment. Look what happened to the CNG pumps. Billions and billions of dollars investment was poured in. And didn't they have any fundamental right, all those CNG pumps, to be protected? One day they just turned it around. So what I'm saying that while it is very good to talk about that the army should not meddle or okay, I think it is too much for us to chew. It is too big a bite for us to chew. But though you're not wrong, you're right, fine. But I don't know if how many of us would be ready to go to jail or serve so many notices. Sorry, I'm not one of them. Maybe I'm one of the cowards, but that's the reality, what is happening around. So let us also, like Tahir Bhai, he said that we formed a pressure group. Fine, I wasn't aware of that, otherwise I would have joined it. So let us work on, not on, idealism is very good, but let us work on concrete things which are maybe easily achievable or readily achievable, and then we can move on to what the larger picture is. I don't know. This is my feeling.
Normally, I don't know. I've started to learn not to react, but I think I need to react on that. You know, when I look back at my life, I've been always firefighting, you know, ye problem, wo problem, never going to the root cause. And what you are suggesting that let's do some firefighting and let's look at the other issues, but not address the real issue. And it's not going to work. We have now reached a stage in Pakistan, if you look at our provinces, what's happening in Balochistan and other provinces, what Karachi has gone through in 1985. We all know that, we've gone through it. I shouldn't say thank God everything is happening in the north and the political crisis is in the north and we are quite safe and everything was quiet here in Karachi. We didn't know what was going on in Punjab. But my thinking is that कब तक हम जो जड़ पे नहीं जाएंगे और देखिए उसमें हम we don't have to use derogatory language. We can be very nice enough and polite and say it in a very not diplomatic because that is hypocritic, but be clear in our thinking that look, everybody has got their sphere of work. This document provides that. The trichotomy of powers is there. So, but I know what you're saying, let's be realistic. कब तक realistic होंगे? चलें, realistic में वक्त गुजर जाएगा, मुल्क चला जाएगा, तो we'll be realistic. Fine. Do we want to continue with that realistic policy? To be realistic. We have to be idealistic. Take it, I think, I'm not a religious scholar or anything like that, but the message from our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his whole life is a message. He also went through a lot of suffering to deal with that society that he was in. So, my submission is that हमें थोड़ी सी हिम्मत पकड़नी पड़ेगी और जिस तरह की जो politicians language use करते, we don't have to use that language. We can be very decent in our language and talk to people like Arshad just mentioned that the gentleman had come to Karachi and addressed the elite of the business community, and I also heard a lot about that. They were all praises. Okay, he had the economic numbers and plans and everything was going to be perfect in Pakistan. चले वो तो जो elite है ना, they are part of the problem. Those elites. You and I don't fall in that category. We are human beings because all of us are involved into a lot of social work. We interact with poverty. We know what's going on. Or I think, a lot of people, this morning I had gone to an annual awards day of a school in North Nazimabad. I see those girls, amazing, with confidence. This school, Green Shield Public School I went to, these type of schools should be government schools all over Karachi. The state has to be responsible. हमें problem ये हुआ कि हम लोग ने जो charity का काम शुरू कर दिया तो government has started stepping back. The state has gone back. कि भाई ये तो TCF कर रहा है, कालीम का problem solve, hepatitis का सईद अल्लाह वाला कर रहा है और the Patient Care Foundation is looking after Jinnah Hospital और XYZ is cancer, XYZ is SIUT. ठीक है, हमारा कोई role ही नहीं है. But I think, what we need to do is also those people who matter, like Saeed Allahwala, Mushtaq Chhapra, we people also need to get together and pressurize the state to start performing.
Comment on that, on what our friend here just said. So do you know that हमारे यहाँ budget में I know what you're saying. The amount of money that is allocated to education and basic health care, do you know where it goes? Even that money is not, even half of that money is not spent in the area that it needs to be spent. It's not, our problem is a very structural problem. It's a very fundamental problem. It's not allocation today. Tomorrow you double the allocation of money to education. I guarantee you nothing will happen. It's a structure. We have, sir, many fault lines. The fault lines that existed when I came out of the university have more than tripled over the last 40-45 years. The fault lines are increasing and nothing is being done because you can't remove those issues through a band-aid solution. When we talk in these forums, we are always talking of band-aid solutions. Band-aid solutions will never solve it. That's what has brought Pakistan to this stage. We need to have a structural change in Pakistan. Your entire system has to change. Your status quo has to go if this country has to progress. Otherwise, the fault lines that have developed in this country, they will tear it apart. Guarantee you. We living in Karachi have no idea. When I talk to people, they are sanguine in their living. They have money, they have cars, they have their children going to good school. They're totally sanguine. They have no idea what this country is going through. Go to those areas. Even in Karachi, they don't go to those areas. Come with me to Karachi, and I'll tell you, you will start crying. When you go to those areas, talk to those people, they will tell you their stories with teary eyes, and you will start crying with them. कि मैं अपना डिफेंस के घर में रहता हूँ, बड़ी गाड़ी चलाता हूँ, मेरे बच्चे पढ़ गए हैं, बाहर रहते हैं, मैं आराम से अपनी ज़िंदगी गुजार सकता हूँ, मुझे कोई परवाह नहीं है किसी चीज़ की. कल I'll give you another example. Yesterday, it was not yesterday, 2 days ago, somebody, you know, अपना फ़हीम Siddiqui and his wife had come over, and his wife was telling me, this is 2 days ago, sir, and listen to this. And they live in a very large house in Defense, and he has a pretty thriving business. His wife, but they are very earthy people, very earthy people. Saeed bhai बैठे इन्हीं की तरह के लोग हैं बिल्कुल. I have a lot of respect for him. वो कहने लगी कि यार मुझे मेरी ये पोती है, वो पोती उनके साथ थी, गाड़ियाँ दोनों तीनों गई हुई थी, बच्ची कह रही थी मुझे, तो मैंने कहा यार कभी इसको मैंने रिक्शा नहीं दिखाई, रिक्शा में नहीं बैठी है, तो मैंने कहा मैं मेन सड़क पे जाके इसको आज रिक्शा की राइड देती हूँ, इट बी समथिंग डिफरेंट फॉर हर. तो शी सेड वो मैं रहमान मस्जिद पे जाके रिक्शा मिल गई, मैंने रिक्शा ले ली. कह ली कि मैं रिक्शा में बैठी हूँ और बच्ची मेरे साथ है, वो ड्राइवर जो रिक्शा का है वो बड़बड़ाने लगा, बोलने लगा कुछ, कहने लगा बीबी, उसको नहीं पता था कि ये बहुत कोई बड़े घर की वो हिजाब विजाब लेती है. उन्होंने कहा ये भी मेरी तरह ही गरीब ख़ानदान की कोई खातून होंगी कि बीबी एक दिन हम आएगा, ये जो डिफेंस के लोग हैं ना, हम इनके घरों में कहने लगी, ये उसके अल्फाज, हम इनके घरों में घुसेंगे, हम इनको निकाल के बाहर फेंकेंगे, इन्होंने हमारा खून चूस लिया है. ये वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने ये वो आई हर्ड इट डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम हर हु सैट इन दैट रिक्शा 3 days ago. ये रिक्शा वाला उसको कह रहा था. The sentiments we don't know, because as long as we have a cushy living, we don't know the sentiments of these people. What is happening in KPK today? You don't know. What is happening in Balochistan? We don't know what is happening there. Believe me, the sentiments are very different.
Opportunity to others also to participate, please.
And immediately they started finishing off the judiciary. So let's not go in the history. I like what Tahir said. Time has come that we absolutely need to take some action. I've been sitting at home, my office, and I wonder, what can I do? Because I'm very frustrated. I had green card in 1973. I did not take the American passport, which was due to me in 1976, because I had taken a pledge. And I came back to Pakistan. Right now, if we want to really make a group, a pressure group, we should have one-point agenda. And that is the February elections. Because talking about education and allocation of health and this and that and roads, and this can go on forever. The frustration gentleman just mentioned about somebody saying कि हम घुस के मारेंगे, I heard that in 1990 from MQM people. कि ये डिफेंस में जो लोग रहते हैं, हम वहाँ जाके, हम लोग जाके उन लोगों के घरों में रहेंगे. So yes, there's a lot of frustration in the country. One point agenda, what we can do, we cannot go on streets. I did go to some protests which happened when Imran Khan was arrested on Shara Qadi. I went there and I saw the mahal, and at my age, I cannot be really a part of that. That's for younger people to do. The one point, and that can only happen if a third party, I don't know how good Imran Khan is, or I don't know what PTI is all about. I'm not a member of PTI. But he's not a Sharif and he's not a Bhutto. And he's not part of the army. From what I hear, during Musharraf's time, he was offered the premiership of Pakistan and refused to take it. Right now is the time that we have a pressure group. I have never been part of a pressure group, so I don't know.
Ali, I think you made your point that February 8th election should be our target.
It should be
One point agenda.
One point agenda.
I think, and you know, let me share this with you. I go on the YouTube channel a lot, you know, watching the latest information, because there's no information coming from our channels. I always make a chat, I want my stolen vote back, Karachi. It's under my name. I keep on mentioning this all the time. And that's the bottom, the crux of it, that we need to fight and struggle, that we need our stolen vote back.
Nazim, when we start this pressure group, and we should start it, I think it's our duty. We start this pressure group, we should have a YouTube channel, an Instagram channel. Let's not go into Twitter, but at least a Facebook page, where we motivate others around, not only in Karachi but everywhere else. I don't care which class you come from. When I talk to my cook, I talk to my Masi, I talk to their children, etc., and other people who are not as blessed as we all in this room are. When I talk to them, they want exactly what we want. You know, they don't want to live in a house in defense, but they want to have a house. Basic rights. They want their children to go to school. Right now, I'm sponsoring my cook's son, who has done his intermediate and did it very well in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And I've asked him to bring him here and sponsor him so he can go to a computer college in Karachi. But let's make a committee, get a focus group going, whatever we call it, you want to call it HABIBIAN or whatever. I don't know whether the Habibs would like it. But
In a short, this thing, Arshad Anis just mentioned there's an organization which has been recently launched in Karachi. It's called Sabka Foundation. And the tagline is Hum Sabka Pakistan. Basically, it's an advocacy group wanting to do what you're suggesting. Advocacy in various aspects of our lives, in the economy, if you want to talk about the judiciary, the health sector, education sector, experts in all these fields. And the idea was to establish our own channel also. So this is something good coming from you, and we can then join up and get your support.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I happen to be the bloody president of that organization also.
Okay. I would love to be part of it. I would love that YouTube channel to be on and have different speakers, just normal people who come out and
speak their mind.
And speak their mind on it.
Right.
And have a one-point agenda.
Ali, can we ask somebody else who's waiting for the...
बात हो रही थी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की, and I'm not here to criticize anybody.
Abbas, please, attention. Sorry.
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की बात हो रही थी, तो एक फंडामेंटल क्वेश्चन है कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की पावर कहाँ से स्टेम होती है. It's not through judiciary, it's not through triad. It basically stems from the people of Pakistan. आप थोड़ी नज़र घुमाएं इर्द गिर्द. Moral degradation की वजह से people of Pakistan are not standing up to defend this constitution. आप जाएं अभी जो नारियल बेचने वाला ठेला लगा के खड़ा हुआ है, he is also part of this corrupt system. जिस रिक्शे वाली की बात हुई है, वो भी इस करप्ट सिस्टम का पार्ट है, एनी बेनिफिट्स फ्रॉम इट. जब तक आप कॉमन पाकिस्तानी को इस करप्ट सिस्टम से निजात नहीं हासिल करवाएंगे, उसकी दिमाग की कलिंग नहीं करेंगे जब तक पाकिस्तान इस मेस से नहीं निकलेगा. एंड दैट इज़, आई रन अ स्कूल, आई नो. मेरे पास आते हैं बच्चे लोअर मिडिल क्लास से, उनके माँ बाप की सोच इतनी घटिया है कि मैं आपको क्या बताऊं. वो चाहते हैं कि उनके बच्चे पास हो जाएं बस, जैसे भी बाय हुक और क्रुक. लड़ाई झगड़ा, अगर एग्ज़ाम में चीटिंग करते हो पकड़ा गया 4th ग्रेड में 5th ग्रेड में, माँ बाप लड़ने आ जाएंगे. हमें बेसिकली ये देखना पड़ेगा कि ये सारी बातें अच्छी हैं, दिस इज़ ऑल नाइस, बट हुआ क्या है. कोरिया की बात हुई कि कोरिया में लोग निकल के आ गए, वो इधर क्यों नहीं निकल के आ रहे? वाई दे आर नॉट कमिंग आउट? बिकॉज दे आर मॉरली degraded. There is something that has happened in this country, that has happened for the last 50 years. Slowly, everybody has now become part of this mess. They benefit from this mess. They do not want for this mess to clean up, because घर पे क्या होगा अगर clean up हो गया? This is systematically what the army and the civil politicians and the bureaucracy has done, कि वो slowly सबको आस्ता करप्ट करके लेके आ गए हैं कि अब everybody is indifferent. किसी ने बात की इधर के जी वो लोग एक half of Pakistan is indifferent to this. उनको पता है कि मेरा तो कुछ नहीं होना, मैं तो ऐसे ही चलता रहूँगा. जो बाकी हाफ है वो बेनिफिशियरी है फ्रॉम दिस करप्ट सिस्टम. सो आई जस्ट वांटेड टू पॉइंट दिस आउट कि हम जब किसी चीज़ को एड्रेस करने जा रहे हैं तो क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग का पाथ लेना पड़ेगा. एंड फॉर मी द क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग गोज टू द कॉमन पाकिस्तानी, द एवरेज मोहम्मद हुसैन एंड बिल्किस, जिसका मसला है. थैंक यू.
Amir, can I respond? You know, this question which you have put up and loss in character of our nation, it's always coming up. And then I used to go on talk shows some years back. तो ये बातें आती थी. तो I used to make a statement that we Pakistanis are no better or worse than they come anywhere in the world. It is the environment that you give to the people and they respond accordingly. So your point is well taken. The politicians, the bureaucracy and our khakis are responsible for the mess that has been created in the environment of Pakistan. Now we need to change that. Once you do that, like for instance, when you talk about investments, nobody is going to invest in this country if your investment climate or it's not a conducive environment. Why should anybody invest? They've got plenty of other places to invest. So likewise, what I'm trying, my answer to your this thing, it's a very big thing that you're asking for a change, but you need to go for the jugular. That you have to change the environment and how we do it. That's going to be a long drawn process. It's going to not be overnight. But the problem is, where do we start? Where do we start? It has to be a political effort. I'm not a politician, but ये जो casually हम बात कर रहे थे ये meeting से पहले कि there is such a stigma on politics that politics तो it's a dirty business. But politics is necessary. So unless good people come into politics, how the hell are we going to clean this politics? तो ये सब चीज़ें हमें it's quite a complex thing and you're right that we need to work on that. But don't be pessimistic about Pakistan that हम लोग तो गए गुजरे लोग हैं, हम घटिया लोग हैं. We are not घटियाज.
एक सेकंड अदर,
मैं ये गुजारिश करना चाह रहा हूँ कि I have to close in another 6 to 7 minutes because मगरिब की अज़ान हो जाएगी. प्लीज होते.
Just wanted to second you on that, Amir, because और आपको भी मैं second करूँगा, आपको भी second करूँगा. जो बात आपने कही कि वो डिफेंस में घुस के और आपने बताया कि 1980s में शायद आपके साथ हो. मैं जब इतना सा था, आई थिंक आई वाज इन क्लास 8, तो उस वक्त भी लोग ये कहते थे एंड आई वाज सो वरीड. आई वाज अ यंग बॉय, आई वाज प्लेइंग क्रिकेट इन द मोहल्ला एंड somebody, you know, 5-6 टाइप किसी लोग थे वो आए, उन्होंने कहा कि अभी तो हम ये करने वाले हैं. तो आई वेंट बैक होम एंड आई टोल्ड माई फादर कि ابا وہ تو یہ کہہ رہے ہیں. تو he smiled, he said, مطلب بٹ آئی اسٹل ریممبر دیٹ. اس کے ورڈ اتنے خطرناک ہیں, اگر میں آپ کو بتاؤں تو آپ کہیں گے کہ یار جو اس نے کہی نا بات, اس سے وہ 10 گنا آگے تھی اس نے جو کہی تھی اس وقت. اینڈ عامر از ایبسلیٹلی رائٹ سر. ایک جرنلسٹ ہوتا تھا عبد القادر حسن, تو ہی used to write in Urdu, very good writer, he probably died, passed away. تو وہ ایک رہنے والا تھا جیلم کے قریب کا. تو what happened was that he wrote in his column, came in young, کہ وہ جس زمانے میں MMA بنی تھی اور there was People's Party and there was PMLN also, but there was MMA also. کوئی قاضی حسین احمد was probably leading it, something like that. So وہ he said کہ میں نے شہروں کی تو کافی دیکھ لی ہے, لاہور میں رہتا تھا, کہتا میں اپنے گاؤں چل کے دیکھوں گا باہر الیکشن کی. تو کیا تو اس نے دیکھا everybody is talking about کہ قاضی حسین احمد تو ہمارا شیر ہے, he is the person, کیونکہ وہ اچھی باتیں کرتا ہے. تو ہی سیٹ کہ یار اس دفعہ جو ہے نا حالات چینج ہو گئے ہیں, شاید MMA ول ون اینڈ PPP اینڈ PMLN ول ناٹ گیٹ اینی ووٹ. تو ہی سیٹ کہ میں بڑا پیمنٹ کا یہ دیہاتی لوگ ہیں ان سے بات کروں تو ان سے پوچھا اچھا لیکن آپ ووٹ کس کو دے رہے ہیں, MMA کو دے رہے ہیں؟ کہتے نہیں, somebody said People's Party, somebody said PMLN. He was really he was very تو surprised. and اس کا پھر مجھے سمجھ آیا جو آپ کہہ رہے ہیں نا بات ہمیں, وہ اس نے لکھی تھی آج سے کوئی 15-20 سال پہلے. اس نے پھر مجھے سمجھ آیا کہ اتنے سادہ لوگ نہیں ہیں دیہاتی, ان کو پتہ ہے کہ سب نمبر 2 کر رہے ہیں کسی نہ کسی طریقے سے. تو اگر PMLN یا پیپلز پارٹی آئے گی تو ان کا نمبر 2 کام چلتا رہے گا, مائنڈ یو. اور اگر MMA کے قاضی حسین احمد آگے جو باتیں کرتا ہے تو اگر اسے واقعی اس کو امپلیمنٹ کرتے تو ہم تو مارے گئے. So this is what happened. So this is very true. ہمیں ایجوکیشن پہ بھی دیکھنا ہے, but to start with step at a time. Somebody said very famously, if you want to conquer Everest, you need to take the first step. تو بھائی ہم پہلا اسٹیپ تو لینا, کوئی گروپ تو بنائیں, کچھ تو کریں, لیٹس اسٹارٹ ڈوئنگ اٹ. پھر دیکھتے ہیں آگے کیا ہوتا ہے. لوگ بڑھتے جائیں گے انشاءاللہ, ویل ہیو اس کے اندر اس میں اور چیزیں ہوں گی, اینڈ دین وی کین ایڈ ایکسپرٹس ان ٹو ویریس ایریاز کہ آپ اس پہ کام کر لیں, آپ اس پہ کام کر لیں, آپ اس پہ کام کر لیں. بٹ ٹو اسٹارٹ ود وی نیڈ دیٹ. شیور.
اچھا, یہ جو کتاب آپ لے کے بیٹھے نا, ہری کتاب, it itself is a problem. It itself is a problem. It's a problem because by official statistics, 48% of Pakistanis cannot read and write. Okay? تو آپ سمجھ لیں آپ کی آدھی پاپولیشن تو اس کتاب کو پڑھ ہی نہیں سکتی. Even if it was written in Urdu, very few Pakistanis would be able to read, understand, and understand their rights as nationals of Pakistan. طاہر بھائی نے ابھی تھوڑی دیر پہلے کہا کہ جی میں نے بھی پہلی مرتبہ یہ ہم جو پڑھے لکھے ہیں وہ بھی اس کتاب کو نہیں پڑھتے ہیں اور نہ مانتے ہیں. This is a tool for manipulating the system and the people of Pakistan. That's what. اس کا ایک جو لنک ہے وہ ہمارے ایجوکیشن سسٹم سے بھی بنتا ہے. A nation which has 48% of its population, which is almost 120 million people, uneducated, illiterate, what hope that nation has of rising and of moral and ethical values. ان کو تو پتہ ہی نہیں ہے. They are living below the poverty line. ان کے تو کھانے پینے کے لالے ہیں روزانہ کے. میں آج کل جس بزنس سے میرا تعلق ہے, that takes me to places I had never been to before, like almost in 65 years of my life. Ranchor Line, Yuna Market, Pital Gali, and all these, Orangi Town, and آپ ان بیچاروں کا حال تو دیکھیں. They have the skills, but they don't have education. And because they don't have education, they don't know what their rights are. اور وہ بیچارے بجلی کے بغیر اپنا کام کرتے ہیں, روتے ہیں. They make promises to deliver on a certain date. They can't because it's not that they don't want to, but they don't have bijli, pani, gas to run their businesses.
Sorry, Constitution آپ یاد کی کہ یہ raddi document because people don't understand it. Let me clarify that this constitution is available in the Urdu language as well. And then you came up with the parta kaun hai. اب پڑھنے کے لیے تو ہمیں پڑھنا چاہیے اس کانسٹیٹیوشن کو, ہمارے رائٹس وغیرہ اسی میں لکھے ہوئے ہیں. دیکھیں ایک سوسائٹی جب آپس میں پیس اینڈ ہارمنی میں جب چلنی ہوتی ہے تو اس کے لیے کوئی کانسٹیٹیوشن بنتا ہے. جس طرح آپ کی کمپنی ہوگی, میمورینڈم اینڈ آرٹیکلز آف ایسوسیشن بنتے ہیں نا, اس کے ساتھ آپ کو کمپلائنس کرنا پڑتا ہے. تو کانسٹیٹیوشن کے بغیر تو ملک کوئی نہیں چلتا. کچھ ملکوں میں انریٹن کانسٹیٹیوشن ہے, کسٹم اینڈ یوسیج اینڈ پریکٹسز لائک UK is got there's no constitution, but most of the countries have written constitutions where the rights and responsibilities are clearly mentioned in the constitution. اب اگر آپ یہ کہتے ہیں ہمیں کانسٹیٹیوشن کی ضرورت ہی نہیں ہے تو یہ تو میرے خیال سے پھر ملک how do you define? Let me finish. As a friend of mine, a very learned person who sent me this WhatsApp message after he attended our town hall, a constitution is what constitutes a country by uniting diverse provinces into a nation state. یہ کراچی کی بات نہیں ہو رہی ہے, یہ سندھ کی بات نہیں ہو رہی, تمام صوبوں کی بات ہو رہی ہے, ہمیں ساتھ میں مل کے رہنا ہے. تو اس طرح کی چیزیں ہوتی ہیں کانسٹیٹیوشن میں, اس کے لیے بنتا ہے تاکہ ہم آپس میں مل کے ایک دوسرے کی رسپیکٹ کریں اور ایک دوسرے کو ہم رسپانسبلٹیز بھی لیں نا. تو یہ کانسٹیٹیوشن کی جو آپ اتنا تو وہ نہ کر دیں نا کہ کانسٹیٹیوشن کی ہمیں ضرورت ہی نہیں ہے.
I'd like to thank you all of the participants who have participated very vigorously and very enthusiastically, and I would like to thank Nazim bhai, Tahir bhai and all the participants کہ وہ آ رہے ہیں ہمارے پروگرام میں, جتنی بار بھی آ رہے ہیں اس سے سب ظاہر بات ہے ہمیں انکریجمنٹ مل رہی ہے. اور ایک چیز جو میں بار بار کہتا ہوں اور میرا کام بھی کہنا ہے کہ دیکھیں جی بات یہاں ہو رہی ہے پریشر گروپس کی, یا کسی ہم نے بنیاد ڈالی ہے ایک گروپ کی, چاہے وہ حبیبین پلیٹ فارم سے ڈالی. آپ لوگوں کا ہاتھ ملانا بہت ضروری ہے. ہاتھ ملانے کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ آپ کا رجسٹر ہونا ایز اے ممبر. صحیح ہے, بہت سارے لوگ بیٹھے ہوئے جو شاید رجسٹرڈ نہیں ہوں گے. ہم کہیں نہ کہیں سے پروگرام پہنچاتے ہیں, کوشش کرتے ہیں کہ وہ ان کو پیغام پہنچ جائے, چاہے وہ حبیبین ہو چاہے کچھ ہو. لیکن یہ کہ آپ لوگ رجسٹریشن بھی کرائیں تاکہ ہماری اسٹرینتھ بڑھتی جائے. ہم جتنی اسٹرینتھ بڑھتی جائے گی ہم اتنے زیادہ فعال ہوتے جائیں گے اور اسی طرح کرتے جائیں گے. اور جہاں تک رہی ہے اس ٹاپک کی بات, میں خیال ایک دو لفظ میں کہہ دوں کہ ہمیں اسی طرح کے فورم میں سے اچھے لوگ نکالنے ہیں. چاہے وہ جب until unless we don't have good governance اچھے لوگوں سے ہوتی ہے. اس میں کہتے ہیں چاہے وہ تعلیم کا مسئلہ ہو, صحت کا مسئلہ ہو, یا چاہے کچھ بھی ہو, چاہے وہ کانسٹیٹیوشن پہ عمل درآمدی کیوں نہ ہو, جو لوگ اسٹیڈ فاسٹ رہیں گے اس میں, اچھے لوگ جب نکل کے آئیں گے, کیونکہ اچھے لوگ اب پولیٹکس میں نہیں آتے, اچھے لوگ جو ہے اس میں نہیں آتے. ناظم بھائی جیسے کوئی کم لوگ ہوں گے جو آگے بڑھ کے بات کر کے اس طرح کہتے ہیں کھلے عام بات کرنے کی کوشش کر رہے ہیں. اچھی بات ہے, کچھ اور بھی لوگ ہوں گے لیکن کم ہیں. ان فورمز پہ ہم کہتے ہیں وہ مواقع فراہم کرتے ہیں کہ لوگ اپنا نظریہ پیش کر سکیں اور اپنا آگے بڑھ سکیں. تو آپ ہمارے ہاتھ ضرور ملائیں, اپنی ممبرشپ جو ہے ضرور کرائیں, اور پروگرام میں آپ کی کہتے ہیں. بائی دا وے ایک چیز میں اور بتا دوں, ہم نے 19 جنوری کا ایک اور پروگرام پلان کر لیا ہے جو کہ مومن پیک ہوٹل میں ہوگا, اور اس کے جو اسپیکرز ہوں گے وہ ہمارے کہتے ہیں شبر زیدی صاحب ہوں گے, اور کہتے ہیں اپنا شاہدہ وزارت صاحب جو وزارت جو اکانومسٹ ہیں, پروفیسر بھی ہیں گی, وہ ہوں گی, اور ایک چیف گیسٹ اور ہوں گے, وہ میں بعد میں انشاءاللہ آپ تک پہنچا دوں گا اس کی خبر بھی. تو یہ کہ آپ لوگ آتے رہیں, آپ کا آنا ہمارے لیے باعث فخر بھی ہے اور باعث وہ بھی ہے, اور اسی طرح اپنی رجسٹریشن بھی کراتے رہیں. ہمارے ساتھ ہاتھ ملا کے ساتھ چلیں, ہم آپ کے ساتھ چلے رہیں. آپ کا بہت بہت شکریہ, آگے انشاءاللہ پھر ملتے رہیں گے. پاکستان زندہ باد.
جیسے کہ آپ جانتے ہیں حبیبین الومنائی گروپ جو ہے وہ ساری دنیا میں پھیلا ہوا ہے, اور بے انتہا کی ہمارے الومنائی جو ہیں وہ مختلف کی پوزیشنز کے اوپر ملک میں بھی اور ملک سے باہر بھی اپنا رول ادا کر رہے ہیں. یہ ہمارا ایک پلیٹ فارم ہم نے کریٹ کیا, انسپائرنگ فیتھ انسپائرنگ چینج. ہمارے ایسے حبیبین الومنائی جو اس وقت رول ماڈل بنے ہوئے ہیں, وہ ہر مہینے ہم ان کو مدعو کرتے ہیں اور وہ آ کے یہاں پہ اپنے خیالات کا اظہار کرتے ہیں. اور یہ ایک پلیٹ فارم ہے ایکسچینج آف ویوز کرنے کا, لوگوں کو تک اپنی باتیں پہنچانے کا, اور ان انٹیلیجنٹ لوگوں کو سننے کا جو ہمارے سینئرز ہیں. آج کا موضوع جو تھا فائنینشیل کنونڈرمز, جو اس وقت ملک کے اندر سیریس اس کا امپیکٹ آیا ہوا ہے, اکانومی میں کرائسس ہے, ہم دیکھ رہے ہیں کہ اکانومی کے پچھلے کئی سالوں سے گرو نہیں کر رہی ہے. ایک اسٹیگنیشن کی سچویشن ہے کہ پرائسز جو ہے وہ بڑھی ہوئی ہے, گو کہ انفلیشن تھوڑا کم ہوا ہے لیکن پرائسز کم نہیں ہوئی ہیں, اور اکنامک سلو ڈاؤن ہوا ہے. انڈسٹریل انویسٹمنٹ میں بہت اچھے انیشیٹوز گورنمنٹ کے ہیں, لیکن لوگ ابھی تک شائع ہیں اور آگے نہیں بڑھ رہے ہیں کہ پاکستان کے اندر انویسٹمنٹ کا لیول وہی لے کے آئے جو پہلے تھا. تو آج ہم نے ایکچولی ڈیلیبریشن کی ہے اور ہمارے بہت سارے کی ایسے الومنائی جو امپورٹنٹ پوزیشنز کے اوپر ہیں, انہوں نے اپنے خیالات کا اظہار کیا. تو آپ نے دیکھا ہوگا کہ بڑے اچھے خیالات لوگوں نے ان کا اظہار کیا. ہمیں اکانومی کو کس طرح سے اوپر لے کے آنا چاہیے, بہت اچھی تجاویز آج پیش کی گئی. تو یہ ہمارا ایک پلیٹ فارم ہے جو ہر مہینے ہم اپنے الومنائی کے ساتھ مل کے بیٹھتے ہیں اور اپنے آئیڈیاز شیئر کرتے ہیں.
اور کچھ کہنا چاہیں گے ملکی صورتحال کے بارے میں, بہتری کس طرح لائی, کوئی سولوشن حبیبیان الومنائی کے پاس؟
دیکھیں, اکنامک پالیسیز کو ٹھیک کرنے کے لیے ضروری ہے کہ پولیٹیکل انوائرمنٹ جو ہے وہ بہت پیسفل ہونا چاہیے, اس لیے کہ یہ فنڈامنٹل وجہ بنتی ہے کسی بھی اکانومی کو آگے لے جانے کے لیے. تو ہم امید کر رہے ہیں کہ جیسے جیسے پولیٹیکل کرائسس جو ہیں وہ درست ہو جائیں گے, اس کو گورنمنٹ بہت سنسیئرٹی کے ساتھ ایڈریس کر رہی ہے. جیسے جیسے یہ درست ہوں گے انشاءاللہ اکنامک پرابلمز جو ہیں وہ ریزالو ہوں گے. یہ ہماری تو اسی طرح بہت اچھی امیدیں ہیں اس اکانومی کے ساتھ اور اس ملک کے ساتھ.